Welcome to the Kindness Project, the podcast designed to share stories of kindness and share how kindness can make positive change in our world, one small act at a time.
This week on the Kindness Project, we talk about Roblox, sleep patterns, and the best of 2021 so far.
Yeah, so what's your favourite album to listen all the way through?
I think musical albums are always good to listen all the way through because you get the story. But I don't know if I've talked to you about AJR. I love AJR. But they did an album called Neo Theatre. And if you start at the beginning of Neo Theatre and listen all the way through, the songs actually, even though listening to them distinctly, it doesn't seem like it. But if you listen to them, it actually follows the structure of like a life. So the first song is about a baby being born and coming into this world and being full of optimism when actually the world isn't full of really positive things. I think you've heard that song. I think
Birthday Party. Yeah,
it's quite an earworm for you. And then it goes through a bit of, I'm not really good at making friends, and then I play my music here, and my life's not totally great. I'm in therapy. And it just goes on to this bit, and it's just...
So it's a journey, is what you're saying?
Yeah, it's a life journey, and I just really like it, because I listen to...
What's the song called? Is it Dead?
No, it's about... the last song is... I can't remember what it's called now, for the life of me, but the last song is about how people always expect more of you than you've already given, and so it's sort of about... I've given you all this great thing. I've given you this life I've lived, but you want more from me. Okay. And it's
so it's a song about expectation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so AJR Neo Theatre is Charlotte's recommendation. I've got a few. I mean, the one that I'm really enjoying at the minute, it hasn't got that story narrative running through, but it's Maverick Sabre, Lonely Are the Brave. Plan B has a couple of albums where there's and you've got to sort of like Strickland Banks, which is one of his albums, is a bit more of a soul album, but with a bit of sort of rap involved. And then Ill Manners is all based around East London and parts of East London I know really well, and has got a story around it. And so much so that he made a film based on you wouldn't call it a musical because it's quite heavy, but a film based around...
Musicals can be heavy, they just have music.
Name a heavy musical.
Heavy, like emotionally heavy.
Yeah.
Hamilton's pretty heavy.
Hamilton's quite heavy, not as dark as Ill Manners.
Heathers is pretty heavy. They based it on the film. I don't know if you've seen that film.
Yeah, it's got a Heathers in, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Has it got a woman called Heather in?
There's three of them, yeah.
Three Heathers.
That's why it's called Heathers.
Okay.
It was an old film. I wouldn't say old because it was around when you were mum around. It's not old. See, I told you. Anyway.
Sorry. Can we just go back to that? It's old because it...
No, I said it's not old because it was around when you and mum were growing up.
Right.
Yeah.
How old is it?
I don't know.
It's
like to the point where it was still fuzzy on screen.
Still
fuzzy around the edge.
Sorry, Russ. I need to consult producer Russ on this one. When we were growing up as kids, apart from that time you put the magnet on the telly, what was our TV
that to
fuzzy?
Daddy, will you?
I've already told him that story. I just
meant the camera quality wasn't as good.
Was the camera quality as good?
Back in the 80s, the camera quality wasn't as good. No.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
There was a slight fuzz.
Yeah, it just kind of blurred around the edges of every colour, and it just...
I've got a feeling we had uglier actors in the 80s.
That now is retro, and they call it glitching.
Exactly. So it's come back into fashion.
Yeah, it's come back into fashion.
Heathers is still a good movie, and I like the musical.
Well, you know what? I tell you what. I've got to say, a game that we've spoken about on the podcast that you've recommended to me has just come out on the PS4. A game called Undertale, which I'm really enjoying at the minute. But that is 8-bit gaming at its best, and it's probably one of the most popular games in the last couple of years.
By 2 people.
Well, yeah, but
I think.
But you look at the best-selling game of the last 10 years.
Mario Brothers. Sorry, it's been at the top of the charts for years, hasn't it?
How about Minecraft?
Oh, true.
Best-selling game of all time.
Yeah,
Actually, I thought it was still Mario
Yeah, yeah. Mario Brothers.
The franchise.
Oh,
Mario
right,
Brothers.
maybe. The better.
I'll tell you what other gaming platform makes a lot of money, Roblox.
Roblox, yes.
Yeah,
Roblox.
He's muted
Roblox,
himself.
I called it.
What's Roblox?
Roblox is what I called it. It's the way it's spelled. ROBLOX. Roblox.
Right, hold on. ROB. Just say that word for me.
Rob.
LOX.
Lex.
LOX.
Lex.
Just spell this word for me. LEX.
Lex.
Okay, let's try the other one. LOX.
Lux.
Hey! Anyway,
Just on the subject of gaming, on your birthday,
yeah.
the game that I brought last year before your birthday comes out, because it was delayed due to COVID, looks fantastic. It's the new civilization, Humankind.
Oh, cool.
Sega.
Oh, cool. On what platform? Steve.
PC.
PC. I might have a look at that. Cool. All right. Sounds good. But I have got a PS5 now, Russ. So I am going to be looking at I'm going to be looking at a few PS5 games potentially.
Right.
Anyway, let's talk albums, right?
Yes.
The other albums that I think need to be in consideration, and again, listeners, we want to hear from you about what your favourite albums to listen all the way through to are. But the other albums are the classics. You know, a lot of the Beatles albums, I could listen all the way through all day long. Abbey Road, you know, do you know what I mean? That is the White Album, like all of the Beatles stuff I can listen through all day long.
I'd say not as a classic, but as something we listen to a lot. I'd say In the Heights, but we don't really listen to the soundtrack for that all the way through. We listen to just Breathe and In the Heights, the first song, and Benny on the Dispatch a lot.
Yeah.
And then nothing else we really listen to.
In the Heights, if you haven't seen In the Heights at the cinema, listeners, definitely worth a watch. Proper feel-good musical. Lin-Manuel Miranda at his band. I've also heard Lin-Manuel Miranda's doing some more stuff for Disney.
Yeah.
So that'd be
I can't
good.
remember what it is. But
He's doing some more stuff. I am joined by a girl who's a little bit snotty. It's Charlotte Dames. Oh, no. You know that feeling when you've got a bit of a cold and all you can think is, I think that's where you are.
My worst day was yesterday, and everything was blocked, and I went to sleep.
Yeah, but now you're feeling a little bit better.
And I did sleep for about... I slept for 2 hours, and then I slept for 4 hours. 6 hours? So...
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little bit better. I can breathe properly now.
Good. Well, that's always good. If you can breathe, you're on the right track. And who are you joined by? Christ, you know what? That started off with quite a high energy. Apart from Charlotte, she was like, I only slept for 2 hours.
I slept for 6 hours.
I slept for 2 hours and then 4 hours. Anyway.
I slept for 2 hours and then I woke up because my nose was running.
And who are you joined by, Charlotte?
I'm joined by a man who has two.
I'm joined by a man
who seems to have 2 drinks this morning instead of 1. It's Chris Dames.
I'm on it's a Sunday morning when we're recording this, so I'm on the OJ, and I'm on the coffee, and we're joined by a super special guest, a man who seems to be wearing his dad's clothes. It's Russell Dames. How you doing, Russ?
I'm fine, thank you. A little early this morning, but
it is a bit early, but we could. That's the only time we're all available, isn't it? So what? Let's talk a bit of sleep, okay? I typically get probably about 7 hours a night. How about you, Raz?
I'm probably on 4 to 6.
4 to 6.
Oh, same.
Yeah, roughly.
Does that? Do you get a nap during the day?
No, not now. Now I'm working. I don't, but I used to.
See, there's different perspectives on sleep because I think it was, I don't know, I think it was like a big political leader like Thatcher or somebody like that who actually survived on like 4 to 5 hours sleep a night. I don't know whether I could do that. I need a proper night's sleep.
I think it depends because I've just got used to that pattern now.
Yeah.
When I first started working, by 3 o'clock I was out like a light. But now I've got used to that pattern, that cycle of I'll work and then sort of have a couple of hours telly, then sleep.
Yeah. How about you, Charlotte? Have you always like normal? I mean, having a 2 hours sleep and then a 4 hours sleep is probably not the way
it's
to go,
usually
is it?
somewhere between 4 to 6 if uninterrupted. But like, I have a hard time getting to sleep.
Yeah.
And I wake up early.
Yeah.
So I'm waking up at 5 a.m. and because of how I struggle to sleep, I'm falling asleep about midnight.
Yeah.
Like I'll
So
lay
you're
in
getting
bed
5
for
hours.
4 hours.
Yeah.
Because I can't sleep.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I you know what I find that if I have a really good exercise the night before, I can sleep. So yeah. But I mean, I'm saying I need 7 hours sleep a night. I could have 7 hours sleep a night and a power nap, and a 2 hours sleep on top. I mean, I love a bit of sleep, mate. Yeah, it's really good. Welcome, my friends, to another edition of The Kindness Project. I'm joined by a girl who last week told me she's changed her name to Chicken Nuggets. It's Chicken Nuggets.
And I'm joined by a man who's decided we're doing an impromptu bulk recording in the middle of my bagel. It's Chris Davis.
Well, I'm surprised you're not eating a chicken nugget, as your name's now Chicken Nugget. Do you want to chew that anymore?
Chicken nuggets aren't actually my favourite thing from McDonald's.
What is your favourite thing from McDonald's?
I don't know, but it's not chicken nuggets.
You know what? I genuinely, I've gone off McDonald's in a big way. I haven't had a McDonald's. I haven't had a McDonald's any time in 2020. Probably had one McDonald's in 2019. So I used to love a McDonald's, but I just don't eat a lot of junk food anymore. I'm obsessed with spinach and eggs and all that sort of healthy stuff. You know what my guilty pleasure is though, junk food wise? Greggs. Love a Greggs. Absolutely adore a Greggs. Give me a steak bake. Give me a Greggs sausage roll. Give me... Why are you not running to Greggs right now? I'm saying give me Greggs. Give me...
I'm sorry, I have my own stuff to do today.
Oh, what? You can't run to Greggs and get me a bread pudding?
No, I have my psychology homework to do today.
Oh, okay. All right, you do that.
Yeah.
But if anybody's out there who fancies running to Greggs for me today, I mean, you won't listen to this until about 3 weeks later, but a Greggs bread pudding is always welcome, isn't it? What's your favourite thing out of Greggs?
They do a nice hot chocolate.
Yeah, not bad. You're not. Are you a big junk food aficionado? You're not.
No,
are you really?
I don't. See, the thing is, I don't mind junk food. The issue I have with Greggs is I don't like pastries that much.
Yeah.
So it's like,
yeah.
well, what am I going to get from Greggs other than pastries and warm drinks? But I don't really like pastries that much because they're crummy and they get down your shirt.
Is that what you're worried about?
And your fingers get dry and your mouth gets dry and it's just not my thing.
Would you ban pastry? Is that what you do?
No, because some pastry is nice.
Okay.
Like, you know what's made out of pastry that I like?
Pastry?
Baklava.
Yeah, I'm a bit meh about baklava.
It's really sicklingly sweet.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's really nice.
Yeah, you know what I like? Rhubarber. Have you ever had a rhubarber?
No.
It's like a donut just drizzled with honey, with cream and stuff
Sounds like
that.
my worst nightmare.
And that cheesecake. Would you eat cheesecake?
Oh, I love cheesecake.
Yeah.
I love cheesecake.
Okay, we can agree on cheesecake then.
Oh, I love cheesecake so much.
Sorry, are you dribbling right now?
If it were possible, I'd live off cheesecake. But it's not possible.
Not nutritionally, really. I don't think there's that much nutritionally in cheesecake that would sustain you for too long. Worth giving it a go, though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd definitely give it a attempt.
Kindness
So the first story we've got from the amazing website www.positive.news is about a bicycle library that's opened up in a shop in London. Residents can borrow bikes for free and take part in riding guides to build confidence.
You mean guided rides?
What did I say?
Guided guides.
I said riding guides. Anyway, shows that I'm not coherent. Guided rides to build confidence.
Coherent.
A popular bicycle library in Tower Hamlets aims to address helping people jump in the saddle who lack the confidence, knowledge, and equipment to get riding. It launched in popular this week, transforming an empty shop into a bicycle hub where children and adults living locally can borrow bikes for free. Chris Street Community Cycles, I know Chris Street, there's a market there.
Chris.
It looks like Chris, but I think everybody from there just says Chris.
It's called Chris. Chris Street Market.
Chris. Also, the P is silent. It's a silent P. Also provides free cycle advice, free bike repairs, and guided rides to help people build their confidence. The month-long pilot is a partnership between the environmental charity. That is such a good name, I'm going to let you say it.
Hubbub.
Environmental charity Hubbub, Popular Harker Housing Association, and the walking and cycling charity Sunstrans. So amazing work. Sustrans. And the amazing work, Hubbub, Harker Housing Association and Sustrans for helping people in Poplar get around on their bikes.
From the BBC, Coventry disabled girl's favourite toy replaced by strangers. A disabled teenager has been sent replacements of her favourite toy from strangers around the world after hers began to break. Josie Will posted a message on Twitter asking for help finding a specific model of the toy, which her Rosie had loved since her second birthday. They're no longer made and we're running out of ones that weren't still in the post. Miss Will described the response as both heartwarming and overwhelming. Her sister Rosie has profound and multiple learning disabilities and would be really excited to see the new toys. A VTech light up learning bug, VTech. You had a bunch of them when you were a kid, didn't you?
I think so.
And stopped being sold by a company nearly a decade ago. Rosie's current work in Ladybug broke yesterday. So in the efforts to fix one of our broken 15, we thought we'd give social media a go. We never expected the response to be so huge, said Rosie's sister. It's really heartwarming that so many people are so determined to help, even though they know nothing about Rosie, and out of the goodness of their heart, they just want to help. She said 15 replacements had so far been promised, but people were still coming forward. So I'm presuming it's going to be closer to 30 we're going to receive. People had also offered to fix the broken toys after they began to break after so much usage. Lorraine Will, the girl's mother, said, Josie and her sister have the strongest bond, and Josie will do anything to make sure that Rosie is the happiest girl ever. I couldn't be more proud of her. But I tell you what else that shows to me and illustrates yet again, most people are good, aren't they? Most people will help if they can. So great work.
I mean, we said before we started, the reason we do this is to highlight some of those stories of people doing amazing work. And COVID actually is, even though it's been devastating for a lot of people, and we can see it, and probably you as well, Serena. We're really grateful that actually our impact has been minimal. Yeah. But it's also shown how kind people can be, you know, and actually giving people the opportunity to be kind, because I volunteered for the NHS. I actually didn't get called up, but I volunteered for the NHS support scheme, did all that sort of stuff, and it just gave people the opportunity to say, you know what, I'm lucky in this and I need to give back a bit. I think that's important.
And I think as well, a lot of people already were, they just it was so hidden that people didn't realise. And what I've tended to find certainly around my village, is give people the opportunity to help by asking for something, and they will do anything they can, because a lot of the time they didn't know how to.
Yeah.
But the hearts were always there. I mean, an example is seriously the other day, I was standing outside in the throwing down rain, sorting out 4 pallets of donations.
Right.
And this lady, total stranger, just stopped a car, watching me in. Why didn't I put on waterproof mascara for a start? With my mask, like literally a drowning panda.
So we're we're going like Kiss tribute acts, are we?
Oh, except not as glam and nor as skinny. And this total stranger stopped the car and she's like, "Can I come and help you?"
Amazing.
Like,
Yeah.
Yes, please. And that's what you're getting. It's so lovely.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah.
You've got a question. We're on number 6. Question number 6.
Have we not done number 6, like in general? Okay. You took a breath there. No, you're not going to say anything. Anyway, what other challenges do you face? I mean, other than
so we've talked about COVID. What are the challenges you doing the work you do? What do you face that you like that you struggle with?
We struggle with finding volunteers who can distribute.
Okay.
So volunteers who can lift the boxes and all of that. That's a logistical issue, and that will always be a logistical issue.
Okay.
If we get offered a big donation, we struggle where to put it because lorry drivers often have no set time in the day. They get given an hour and you're in it, so you haven't got any time slots to work to. So thankfully my clients are amazing and they are so used to meetings and me going, "Oh God, a lorry's arrived," running out the drive. They're very understanding and I'm very grateful.
And now I've just got an image of you coming back to a Zoom meeting just with your mascara.
Oh, yeah. My dignity's gone. Fortunately, I was always quite scruffy, so I think they're used to it. So it's not so dramatic a change, but this has got worse. So I think the volunteer thing is always going to be a big deal because the bigger we get as a charity, the more volunteers we get. And also just keeping donations coming because there is just not enough ever across the country.
Yeah.
I mean, one week we had 26 pallets of toilet cleaner came in and it went out again. That's crazy levels, isn't it?
You know what the question in my head is, what happened before this charity existed? Do you know what I mean? You're filling a need there.
Yeah.
That you as an organisation didn't exist 2 years ago. Just people went without, didn't they?
I think so.
You take for granted was just like. Yeah, so thank you for the work you do. We appreciate it, Charlotte.
Okay, next one. If you had a magic wand, what one thing would you change to help you support?
I think that's probably an easy one, isn't it? So it would be that everyone had access to essential hygiene products.
Yeah.
We're not asking for the world there. We're not asking for Dior lipsticks or anything else. We're asking
for the basics.
For the basics that people can be clean. And my personal one, I think, on that. So that would be what we would want as a charity. And I think my personal one, having heard some of the stories certainly around here, would be that everyone had accommodation that was suitable so that it could be clean and safe for them as well.
Yeah. And hygiene, sorry, I know you don't usually step in, but I have something to say. Anyway,
it's your podcast as well.
And hygiene is so important, especially now when there's germs going around everywhere, and hygiene is going to help people not catch COVID, not spread COVID, not spread other diseases, not catch other diseases.
Yeah.
I mean, at this time you could catch one and that could leave you vulnerable to another, and it just throws the whole thing off. And hygiene is so much more important in people's heads now.
Correct.
Yeah. So I hope that this opens people's eyes and get you guys some more help.
Yeah.
Well, to give you an example, I mean, these are 2 examples I often give because I think they're just mind-boggling that in this day and age, this is how it is. We literally hear of families who are all sharing a bowl of water to wash. That is the level we're at in this day and age.
And then the challenge you've got is that's hidden, isn't it? Like in our day-to-day lives, we don't see that. Yeah.
Because they can't afford the water. If they're in rental properties, the landlord can adjust the water. so that they can make it more expensive. They can't afford to heat the water, and they end up using, we've often seen this discussed, some washing up liquid for everything in the house because it's the cheapest thing they can get hold of.
Gotcha.
So one of our schools was telling us a while ago that we support the kids in this particular family had never had their own toothbrush.
Right.
They'd never had one. So all day long they were carrying their kids' toothbrushes around because they were so excited. You know, that's the level you're at. So when we hear things in the media and stuff saying, well, I bet they've all got flat screen TVs, I bet they've all got designer trainers. No, they really haven't.
No. So talk to me a little bit about the Musketeers Choir. Not only how did it start, and then where are we now?
Okay, well, we so again, when I was younger, I was working as a choir leader. I found a job with a national organisation where I was teaching Monday to Thursday night, and it was brilliant. It was the best job. It was like, it was just wonderful. I worked with good people, and my choirs were lovely and local, and they were all local people. That was where I really fell in love with the job. And I was obviously doing my gigging at the weekends and stuff like that. And I did that for a long time. Did that for like 8 or 9 years. And then after a while, so as this organisation was just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, I found myself just drifting off slowly. And so I wanted to do the job. I wanted to do the job, and I wanted to work with the people that I was working with. But it just, the more time went on, the more I was just sort of, I don't know, I just wanted to do something else. I wanted to do something similar, but I wanted to do something else. And I found myself behaving, like I was in the classroom, like I was being that naughty schoolboy, like I'm bored. I need to do something.
Yeah,
so
But
as soon as I started to feel like
that rebellious attitude can sometimes lead to positive things, can't it? Because you do go, well, what happens if I tinker with this? And then, so you got a bit bored, and then what was next?
After like 9 years of it, I felt like I needed a bit more. I needed to keep growing and keep moving, and I had all these ideas. And when obviously the bigger you are as an organisation, the harder it is to, I suppose, the more you have to stick to the rules, because the rules apply to everybody, right? So that's okay. That's what they're there for. So basically, I wanted to do the job. I just needed to be free to do it on my own. So and how I wanted to do it, which was much more like I don't know. I suppose informal in a way. It was like just more just all about the music and the community and the fundraising. And the guitar, I just managed to bring all these bits of myself to it. I still wanted to do the job, but I just needed to do it in my own way. So I started this new choir, and it was called the Musketeers Choir. And the idea was that, we would basically learn really cool songs, have loads of fun with it, but then use the songs that we learned, put them to good use, basically, and we'll go out in the street, and we'll take the guitar, and we'll busk on the high street, and the members could choose that, they could all nominate a charity they wanted to support, and then we'd pull a name out of the hat, and then whatever we managed to earn on that day, out busking, we would donate, and we'd be able to do that all day long. We'd go out and do a half an hour set, go for a coffee, and come back and do another half hour set. And because the choir members, they just love singing. They just love being able to do that with you. So they will sing until the cows come home. They will not stop. So that was the plan. And so I launched it in January 2020. I ran a few sessions, leading up to it, because of course it was a bit of a new vibe, and but it was cool because we can use the guitar.
Where did the choir members come from? Was that existing choirs that said we're really interested in getting involved, or how did that work?
It was a combination of two. So I did have a lot of people who I've taught over the last 9 years.
Yeah.
They've obviously become accustomed to my mannerisms, so they they wanted to come and get involved, which was really lovely. And then I had lots of new people as well, because I didn't do them in the same places. So we needed some new locations and stuff like that. So we started up in these new towns. So it's about 50-50 really. About half of the choir I've taught before, and half of them were brand new, which was really good, because of course, it was just again just trying to create something new.
And people singing in choirs is about community, isn't it? It's about people coming together and just doing something joyful and just enhancing their life, right?
It's exactly that, and it's really, really important that is what you. I mean, me when I remind myself that must be the most important part of the experience all the time. It's not about me. I've actually been a bit uncomfortable the last week or so, because I've been the choir members have nominated me for an award which I've just been declared the winner of.
Congratulations!
A local, this is not what it's for. And then of course you guys wanted to talk to me and all that, and I feel like this. Actually, it's so bizarre, because the members want me to be recognised, which is lovely, and of course it's nice to have like this pat on the back. But there's been this cloud over me where I'm just like, this isn't about me. This is literally about. It's always been about them.
You know what's interesting? It wouldn't happen without you, but I get where you're coming from. You're the facilitator of this community, and you want it to be about the community, right? But you should be proud of what you built.
I am very proud. I am so proud. It's really weird. It's just it's the big public recognition and the ceremonial stuff. It makes me just feel like it's really hard to explain. And I am so grateful, and I am so proud. I'm so proud of everything that we've done. I mean, we've raised an obscene amount of money, given that we started in January 2020. We've raised over £40,000 in 1 year.
Brilliant.
I'm so unbelievable. I'm proud beyond words. It's really weird. I think it's a compliment. I think it's like I never wanted it to be about me. It was always about them. I'm working for them. I'm trying to every day. I think about them and what they want to do, and I tend not to put myself front and center of anything. So this is new to me. All this.
I'm sure you'll get used to it.
Failure and success, who's defining that apart from us? It's the perspective of success being, I need to be in every day, otherwise I'm a failure, is an interesting debate to have, isn't it? Because surely happiness, well-being and positive mental health, I'd argue, are probably more important. None of these things sit in isolation, and we all need to look after our families and make sure that we're financially secure and all of that sort of good stuff. But is success the wealthiest bloke in the graveyard, or is it somebody who has got the balance a bit more appropriate and actually is a bit more open and honest about their mental health? I don't know.
I think it's an excellent point to raise. I don't know what success is. I mean, I think I'm still on that journey. I couldn't sit here honestly and say, oh, this is what success looks like to me. I mean, I think I could say that I'm quite desperate at the moment to be happy, whatever that means, and to probably feel a bit of a lighter burden there. And, I think there'll be moments where achieving that for some significant amount of time involves a lot of hard work. It does involve hard work. There'll be times where it means sticking a boundary down and saying, I'm not going to do that, because right now I'm listening to myself and what my body and my mind needs. And that's the point about self-awareness, is that there won't be a catch-all solution for every situation. But if you're self-aware enough to understand what you need, where you should be pushing and where you should be giving ground for yourself, for other people, that's that's a much more effective toolkit than, I suppose, feeling buffeted by external pressures for success. As you say, like, I've got to have the nicer car because people won't respect me.
And then I suppose that leads on to a question that's actually on my list. It's two questions that are on my. Ollie, we had to get back to the list
We're
at
back
some
on the
point,
list.
didn't we?
Okay. What list, Chris?
We've been ignoring the list for about 40 minutes, but let's get back to it now, mate. But I suppose I was going to do it seamlessly, Ollie, but I thought let's just mention the list again. I suppose one of the things is that perception of success in financial services and for blokes in particular. Do you think that there's unique challenges for people working, our field across a range of different jobs, or for blokes?
I mean, I think the two are sort of inextricably connected, aren't they? Because to this day, financial services remains an industry populated largely by men. I mean, clearly there's some progress there, not enough, but to the extent that it is still a very male industry, I think it's going to have a disproportionate, challenge on its hands. I mean, if I'm to have the Chris Dames optimism hat on there, you can spin that and say, okay, we've got tons of men here. We need to make leaders out of them and to promote that conversation. And I think there's one thing that's very visible in, male mental health behavior is that fear of judgment and fear of judgment by other men. And if you can knock that down using other men, that's potentially a very, very healthy thing to do. I think at the more severe end of things, I do believe that, among the primary victims of male mental health is not just men, it's women. If England get beaten, so does she. That's not a financial services point, but in the sense that financial services is dominated by men, and to the extent that, I'm quite firmly of the belief that in the sort of historical sense, men have lost an empire and not quite found a role yet. And they're still having, as a species, they're having that inward negotiation about what their purpose is in society. And that's really, really tough, particularly in the context that you mentioned at the start, this sort of geographical comparison between the UK and, say, Scandinavian countries. I mean, Scandinavia has a very long and famous history of, colonial exploits and pillaging of the countries. But, it was over really by the 20th century. And that's not something you can say of Britain. So I think there's in terms of the history here and in terms of how history informs culture and understanding, that is one thing that sets the UK completely apart. And it's something that has really, really been a force for kind of cultural reckoning in the last 2 years. It doesn't even need saying. This absolute tension over who controls the narrative of the past and what the purpose of the nation is. Is patriotism okay? Blah, 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 blah. These are all questions, I think, internalized within male mental health. Because they're ultimately about control and they're ultimately about resources. And in a context where men are giving up control in the workplace, they're giving a voice to women, they're giving up control in their own lives because they're looking after their kids more, they're being more present as fathers, they're playing a much more holistic role in other people's lives as well. That's a very, very difficult transition, I think, and I probably covered a lot there in a very reductivist and quite rambling way, but that's just a sense of how I understand these things to mesh together. And I don't think there are any coincidences there really. I think there's a much bigger story there about men and history and transition and change and purpose that makes male mental health a really, really significant challenge right now. And to the extent that, as I've said, men dominate financial services, is always going to be a huge part of life in financial services.
Gotcha.
Aha, my time to shine.
Is it your time to shine?
It's my time to shine.
I thought the entire podcast was your time to shine.
Yeah, I'm going to make you obsolete. Ready? 'Tis the end of another podcast. But the end is never really the end, because the end is always the beginning of something entirely new.
Like what?
Like the answers to last week's question of the podcast.
Which was what?
About quiz shows.
About what? No,
Quiz
I'm obsolete now.
shows.
Go on, you take over. About quiz shows?
Yeah,
What about quiz shows?
Old quiz shows you'd bring back, but I can't make make you obsolete if you won't give me your stuff, your material.
Oh, so you want my material now, do you?
I do want your material,
Right.
yeah.
Tell us what people's favourite quiz shows they'd bring back, Carl, then.
Okay. Sam Chilton said, I don't know what KF is.
Well, so I'm not obsolete anymore, am I? Clearly you still need me. KF, my friend, is Krypton Factor.
Oh.
And it's a show that basically involved an assault course, observation. It tested the different human skills that you can have.
Okay, you're not obsolete, you're just vintage Google.
You could have Googled that. Google, what's KF? Challenge Annika would be amazing. And Challenge Annika was amazing because they gave Annika 48 hours to build a school and she had to do it from just getting local people to give their skills time and resources to get that sort of stuff done. Mark Wright has commented, and he said his favourite is Blankety Blank. But then he's made a bit of a strange comment, and he's just said, "Just pop in." And I don't know what that's reference to.
I know what Blankety Blank is.
I've never heard of Just Pop In, Mark. You have to let us know what that one was. Marco Halloran had an amazing suggestion. Fun house, a whole lot of fun.
Prizes to be won.
And there was a lot of love for Fun House. Steve Dan said Run Around. Julie Wedge said
Blockbusters. I don't know what that is. I just know the
what you've never heard of Blockbusters?
The place that sold.
No, not Blockbuster Video. Blockbusters the game.
No.
Right. It was a show where they had one individual against two. Right. And I never worked out why they had unequal teams. And they had to. There was that hexagons and you had to every time you got a question right, you got another shape, and you had to make your way across the board like a weird question-related version of Connect 4.
So why are we playing Trivial Pursuit and Connect 4 all in one now?
That is Blockbusters, my friend. It's so good. Andrew Berwick said he'd bring back the Generation game.
Oh, that's like what me and you do here, isn't it?
Well, you could argue that we're both of the younger generation. Carol.
Okay, vintage Google.
Vintage Google. That's going to stick.
Yeah, it is.
Caroline Thompson said Wheel of Fortune. Carol Hussey said she absolutely loved the Krypton Factor. And Phil Fitzgibbons reckons Big Break or Gladiator. Now,
Gladiators is good.
Gladiators is good. I love a bit of Gladiators. Ian Brazier would bring back It's a Knockout. Francis Barrett said, Big Break, the snooker show reminds me of my granddad. Johnny Piper would bring back Cheggers Plays Pop. I once met Keith Chegwin.
Why?
It was at Butlins, funny enough. And
Did it smell funny?
He hung me upside down for some bizarre reason. I have got a photo somewhere of Keith Chegwin and me.
What, holding you by the ankles?
I don't think in the picture he was holding me by the ankles. I think he'd put me down at that point. But Fiona McPurko said Fame. I don't know if she's looking for it or that's the show. But that was a really quiz show. And then it all went a bit pear-shaped because Nathan Fryer said Tomorrow's World, which wasn't really a quiz show.
I don't know what it is.
We got it back on track, though. Dave Forsday... I tell you what it was. It was a show looking at the future and what technology would be in the future from the early 80s. Now, if you want something... Now, there were elements of it like predicting the internet. I remember seeing the Tomorrow's World where they were talking about networks and communication and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And there was early, because the early versions of the internet were around, from the 60s, there was talk about sort of